The G20 has been in the headlines recently as its leaders met in Germany for their annual summit. So, what is the G20 and where exactly, or I should say, and what exactly were the leaders of it meeting about? In this morning's U.S. Bank Economic 360, U.S. Bank Vice President and Senior Portfolio Manager Mike Denneman joins Business Courier publisher Jamie Smith in the studio with some answers. Jamie and Mike.
Thanks, Peg. Mike, thanks for being here.
Good morning.
You know, I have to say, when I saw our interview questions, I thought we were going to talk about guns or ships or something. What exactly is a G20?
G20 stands for Group of 20, and this is just 20 nations whose leaders meet on an annual basis to discuss global economic issues. It's a relatively recent development. It only dates back to '99, but it did evolve out of an earlier but smaller group, the G7, which dates back to the mid-'70s. Now, clearly 20, a much larger number than 7, the idea being that, you know, if you're going to try and shape the global economy, the more that you can have at the table, the better. And at least from that regard, they've been successful. The 20 nations represent about 85% of global GDP. So at least from an economic standpoint, it's very inclusive.
So talk a little bit about those 20. Who are some of the 20?
Sure. So all of the usual suspects, of course, and having evolved out of the G7, those 7 nations are some of the primary members. That would be the U.S., Canada, Germany, France, Italy, the UK, and Japan. So all very major economies, obviously. Also covering North America and Europe pretty well, but really not so much, you know, Asia, Africa, South America, and really not any developing economies either. So by expanding to the 20, you know, they were able to bring in some additional of the major economies, China, of course, Russia, Australia, and then some of the relatively smaller economies also, Argentina, Mexico, South Africa, Turkey. So won't name them all, but obviously it's
sounds like a good distribution.
It really is, although it should mention that it's a slightly misleading G20. There aren't exactly 20 nations involved. There are actually 19 individual countries, and then the 20th spot is for the European Union.
Okay. Well, do they have a set agenda that they've put in place, or?
They do. You know, it's established before each of the annual summits. This year's just wrapped up a few weeks ago in Hamburg, Germany. And naturally, there are some issues that are always leading that agenda: global trade, financial regulation, things of this nature. But then they also try to incorporate some more timely topics so that they're keeping up to date with what's going on around the world. So this year they talked about the growing digital economy. They talked about renewable resources and sustainable economic growth, fighting terrorism through tighter controls on money laundering, economic opportunities for women. So a very broad-reaching agenda, and all of it touches on the economy in some way. But again, with the inclusive group of nations, they want to keep the agenda items, you know, broad-reaching, timely, and making sure that they're having an impact on where we're going globally.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure we'll hear more about that as they continue to meet. You know, maybe the Courier can get some press credentials, send you over there. What do you think?
I'm up for it.
All right. As always, thanks for being on the show.
Great. Thanks.
All right.